Welcome to the deep dive. You gave us a stack of sources covering, 26,000 years of movement history?
That's right. It's a huge scope.
So our mission today is pretty ambitious. We're providing the comprehensive shortcut to understanding the history and the specialized language of dance.
And we really are going from ancient spiritual ceremonies all the way to the modern street cipher.
It's an incredible timeline. And what's amazing is you're tracing this continuous line of human expression.
Yeah, back at least 26,000 years. It starts with these very early ceremonial religious dances.
Things like trance dances, right?
Yeah.
For spiritual connection or healing.
Exactly. And then you fast forward thousands of years and you get theatrical dance in ancient Greece, which was much more about spectacle and story.
But the path from those ancient rites to, say, the super controlled world of classical ballet, it takes a really bizarre detour in the middle of Europe.
Oh, it does. Before the body was formally controlled, it was wildly uncontrolled. We have to talk about danziomania.
It sounds like a great disco night, but it was not that.
Not at all. No, this was a case of mass hysteria.
Right.
From the 11th to the 14th centuries, you had these large groups of people who were just overcome with this uncontrollable urge to dance.
To the point of exhaustion, right?
To the point of collapse. It's this real historical puzzle of the body moving without any intellectual control.
Which is the perfect setup for what comes next. Because how do you react to social chaos?
With extreme structure.
Exactly. Which brings us to the Renaissance and the birth of court dance.
And that transition from, wild abandon to this disciplined elegance, it's really a story of societal control being expressed through movement.
And it starts with Catherine de Medici.
Yes, she's central. She's the one who brings Italian court ballet to France.
But the real heavyweight, the person who elevates dance to a serious art form, that's Louis XIV, the Sun King.
Absolutely. He wasn't just a patron, he was a dedicated dancer himself. He starred in court ballets.
So by performing, he was basically defining what it meant to be noble. Your posture, your movement, it all signaled your place in the social hierarchy.
He worked with masters like Jean-Baptiste Lully and Pierre Beauchamp, and crucially, this is when dance starts to get written down. It's documented.
You have to mention Toine Arbaud.
Right, who wrote a major dance manual in the 16th century. His work created standardized rules and steps. It's the bridge to classical ballet.
Okay, so that standardization leads directly to the iconic look of classical ballet in the 19th century, the Romantic era.
Yes, the Romantic period gave us that enduring image of the ballet dancer. Think of iconic works like La Sylphide.
Choreographed by Filippo Taglioni and starring his daughter, Marie Taglioni.
Precisely. And that style was all about the idealized, ethereal female dancer. It created this whole world of spirits and drama.
And to get that ideal look, the technique had to become incredibly strict. This is where you get figures like Carlo Blasius.
He's the guy who literally wrote the book on technique. He even invented a foundational position, the attitude.
The structure was everything. If you really want to get the grammar of ballet, you have to know the core terms.
And they aren't just steps. They're the building blocks, the architecture of the dance.
So let's run through them. The absolute basic, the support bar every dancer starts at, is the bar.
And the most important strengthening move is the plie. The bending of the knees. It's not just a bend, it's about controlled power, keeping the heels grounded.
Literally grounding the dancer.
Exactly.
Then you have movements for creating a line, like tendu.
Right, stretching the leg out, but the toes always stay on the floor. It teaches control.
And once you master that, you get that dramatic pose, the arabesque.
The famous one. Standing on one leg, the other extended straight back. It's all about creating the longest, most elegant line possible.
And for a transition, or to prep for a turn, you use the pass foot at the knee.
And the gliding step where one foot seems to chase the other.
The chasse.
Now for the explosive stuff. The grand jeté is that huge leap, the split in the air. That's pure athleticism.
And any jump that starts and ends in the same spot is a sauté.
And all of this relies on rising onto the balls of the feet or the toes.
Which is called relevé.
And if you add a skin on one leg, you've got a pirouette. These are really the 10 essential building blocks.
But that rigid structure, it was bound to become a target for the next generation, which takes us into the 20th century.
And to neoclassicism and the modern revolution.
Let's start with George Balanchine. He develops neoclassical ballet. But what does that actually mean? What did he do?
Well, he basically stripped away all the 19th century story stuff, the fairies, the melodrama, and focused purely on speed, athleticism, and the music.
So the technique itself became the story.
Exactly. He was pushing the boundary of what the body could do.
And as the technique evolved, the conversation around who gets to perform it had to evolve too. We have to talk about Arthur Mitchell.
A monumental figure, absolutely. He was a trailblazer, the first African-American principal dancer at New York City Ballet.
And he didn't just break that barrier, he built an institution.
He did. He founded the Dance Theater of Harlem because he knew opportunity required real institutional support. His mission was to bring classical dance to people who had been shut out.
This idea of expanding who gets to dance runs right alongside the artistic revolution, where pioneers just rejected the technique altogether.
Which brings us to modern dance.
And the biggest initial rebel was Isadora Duncan.
Oh, completely. She rejected the corset, the ballet slippers, the rigid technique. She wanted natural, expressive movement based on, breath and improvisation. She just wanted freedom.
She throws out the whole vocabulary.
A whole thing.
So Duncan lays the groundwork, but the movement gets its own formal language later. And that's Martha Graham, often called the mother of modern dance.
Right. And while Duncan was about freedom, Graham created a new, very specific language. It's centered on contraction and release.
What does that mean exactly?
It's a technique that expresses the internal human experience, the struggle, the fear. She used the torso as the emotional center. You contract the core to show deep emotion, and then you release.
So it's incredibly theatrical and intense.
A huge leap from both ballet and Duncan's more lyrical style.
Graham was part of the big four of American modern dance.
With Doris Humphrey, Charles Weidman, and Hanya Holm. But just as Graham formalized rebellion, the next wave rebelled against her formalism.
And that gets us to postmodernism.
Right. Pioneers like Merce Cunningham, Anna Halpern, Yvonne Rainer, they started asking, why does dance even need to be expressive?
So what do they do instead?
Well, Cunningham famously used chance procedures. He'd roll dice to decide the order of movements. He separated dance from music and from any emotional story. Sometimes the dance was just simple movements like walking.
Okay, so you have these branching paths. Classical ballet, Graham's emotional modernism, and this very intellectual postmodernism. At the same time, dance is blowing up in pop culture.
Thanks to the stage and screen maestros, you have to start with Fred Astaire.
The master of dance. He totally changed how dance was filmed.
He insisted on those full body shots. His perfectionism and smooth style just set the standard for dance on film.
And for the stage, the standard for jazz was Bob Fosse.
That iconic style. The slumped posture, the isolated movements. He defined Broadway with shows like Chicago and Cabaret.
And you have choreographers like Twyla Tharp, who just merged everything, ballet, modern, jazz, and created something totally new.
And all this is happening while social dance is booming. The historical bridge here is the swing era.
The Lindy Hop.
Born in the 20s and 30s, out of jazz and the Charleston, it was explosive, improvisational, and a total rejection of formal ballroom structure.
And that spontaneous social energy really paved the way for street styles. Which brings us to the 1970s and hip-hop.
But before we get into the vocabulary of the street, you have to talk about the person who put it on the global stage.
Michael Jackson.
The king of pop. He took street moves like the robot and the moonwalk and turned them into these polished theatrical performances.
He showed that this kind of rhythmic individual movement could dominate pop culture.
He really did. So let's get into that vocabulary. Just like ballet has its lexicon, hip-hop does too.
It starts with breaking or break dancing.
Right. The athletic core. It's defined by acrobatics, spins, and that intricate footwork happening right down on the floor. It demands so much power.
Then you have the funk styles, like locking.
Which is all about quick movements and then freezing or locking into a pose. It has this very playful, character-driven feel to it.
And related to that is popping.
Which is like an illusionist's trick. You contract and relax your muscles so fast, it creates this jerky electric shock effect.
And what about the more geometric styles?
That's tutting, creating all those complex shapes and right angles with your arms and hands. It's kind of like living hieroglyphs.
Or waving, which is the total opposite. It's all about fluidity, making it look like a wave is passing through your body.
And then there's crumping.
Very energetic, very expressive, almost looks uncontrolled, but it's not.
Right, and all these styles are really about individual innovation, but they're often performed in this collective, competitive space.
The cipher.
The cipher. That informal dance circle. It's the arena where you test your skills, you improvise. In a way, it brings us back to that ancient idea of a communal dance circle.
That's a great point. And connecting so many of these American traditions, we have to mention Alvin Ailey.
Absolutely. He founded the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater and created a home for preserving and celebrating the African American contribution to modern dance. His work is a beautiful synthesis.
So when you put it all together for the listener, what does it mean? We've gone on this 26,000-year journey today.
We have. From ancient trance dances to the elegance of La Sylphide, the gut punch of Graham's contraction, and the raw geometry of the street cipher.
And we've seen that dance is both documented history, written down in manuals, and it's also a living culture that's constantly reinventing itself.
I think the key takeaway is that every big shift in dance history is a kind of philosophical rejection of what came before it. Louis XIV formalized posture for control.
Isadora Duncan threw out the shoes for freedom.
And Martha Graham turned inward to the body for drama.
So if those figures wrote the grammar for their eras, what new rules are being written right now? I mean, whether it's in the sharp angles of tutting or the pure athleticism of breaking, the body is the constant. It's the medium across all 26,000 years, always writing a new language.
Just think about that the next time you see any kind of dance, whether it's on a stage or on a street corner. You're watching the world's most durable form of nonverbal communication, and it connects you directly back to the earliest human expressions. That connection is why dance endures.